We receive miracle. Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to Faith in the Morning. Something good is going to happen to you today, so expect miracles. Thank you for joining me today. Faith in the Morning exists to help you start your day with faith and encouragement. And however you're streaming, I'm so glad that you're starting your day with faith and encouragement. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's Faith Christian Center with Kerrick Butler. Subscribe to us on our Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can find that under Faith in the Morning with Kerrick Butler. Well, let's get right to it. Let's start with our 2023 Faith Family Confession. So go ahead and say it with me. Say, I am the salt of the earth. I am the light of this world. Jesus said it, so I believe it. I am a carrier of the glory of God. Today I will experience the extreme goodness of God. Today I make myself available for God to show his goodness to others through me. Today I am increasing in influence. Today I will see the goodness of God in my life. Today, something good is going to happen to me. So I expect miracles. Well, go with me today, Philippians chapter 4. The last few weeks, on Mondays through Wednesday, we've been talking about the importance of biblical meditation. We shared what it is, how it's imagining, it's study, it's thinking, it's saying, and the importance of that, and building godly strongholds. You've heard me say this quote before. I first heard it from Pastor Mac Hammond. He said, your success in this life is determined by the strongholds you build for yourself and occupy. Yes, we know about negative strongholds and tearing down negative strongholds. We know that from 2 Corinthians 10. But also, when we understand that concept of what strongholds are and mentalities are, we should build godly strongholds or godly imaginations, godly mentalities, and fill our mind with those things so we can experience the life God has for us. It's important for us to do those things so that we can experience a supernatural lifestyle of faith as well as walk in the purpose that God has for us. When we talk about discovering and walking in his purpose on Thursdays and Fridays. So I want to read to you today from Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. Today I read it from the Message version. I was reading it before I started recording this, and I just want to share this with you. It says, summing it all up, friends, I'd say you'll do best by filling your minds and meditating on things true, noble, reputable, authentic, compelling, gracious, the best, not the worst, the beautiful, not the ugly, things to praise, not things to curse. So notice it tells us to fill our mind and think on these things. The King James says it this way, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. So now we have the guidelines of what we should meditate on and think on and ponder and imagine and meditate and say and study out when it comes to our everyday thought process and what strongholds we should build for ourselves and what mentalities we should build for ourselves. We need to think on things that are true. We don't need to think about the lies and just, the deception of the enemy or the deceptions in the world, or the enemy lying about who you are, the enemy telling you you're nothing, that you're defeated, or telling you you're everything but what God said. Those are lies. And sometimes those lies have been peddled to us. Maybe it was from a person in your childhood who had authority in your life and they spoke things against you and against you, what your potential was. And that was years ago, whether you're in your 20s now or your 60s now, and those words are bothering you still. Those are lies. Refuse to think on it. I have a friend, Pastor Kylie Gateway, when she says when a negative thought comes to your mind, you put your hand on your head and say, that's not my thought. Why? That's not your thought. That's a thought from the enemy. That's a lying thought. No, that's not your thought. Well, what do you think on? The things that are true, the things that are honest. And what is true? What God says about you. What is true? You are fearfully and wonderfully made. What is true? You are anointed. What is true? You are blessed. What is true? You are gifted. What is true? The greater one lives on the inside of you. What is true? You've been washed in the blood of the Lamb. What is true? You've been redeemed from the curse of the law. What is true? You are blessed with faithful Abraham. Those things are true. So think on those things, meditate on those things, study those things out, imagine those things, fill your thought life with what is true. Pilate asked that question to Jesus, well, what is truth? And Jesus answered that question before he stood before Pilate when he was praying. He said, God, Father, your word is truth. So think on the word, meditate on the word, know what the word says about you, and counter every lying thought that says you're not what God says you are. You'll be on your pathway to building a godly imagination, a godly stronghold that you can inhabit, live out of, and experience the supernatural lifestyle of faith. Well, thank you for joining me today. If this has encouraged you, share this with others so they can be encouraged to live the supernatural lifestyle of faith. Have a great day. God bless.